Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the Podmasters Advanced podcast. And my guest today really needs no introduction, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce her anyway. She is the 10th woman to serve as the international president for Toastmasters and the first one in Africa to serve. So please help me welcome to the show Aletta Rochat. Welcome, Aletta.
Thank you so much, Fred. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you. Are you ready for your impromptu question?
I guess I am.
Okay, this is table topics in the interview. So my impromptu question to you is, if you could invent a leadership flavored ice cream, what would the ingredients be?
A leadership flavored ice cream. It would have to have chocolate in it because I find chocolate irresistible. So making leadership irresistible would be really cool. And I also like those flavors that have the sweetness, but also a bit of salted, like a salted caramel brownie or salted caramel. That would work for me, Fred. How does that sound to you?
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm a chocolate lover too. So I would probably be the first one lined up to buy it, Aletta.
Cool. I think
That
it's
sounds
a
that
great
sounds really good.
invention.
Yeah. So we already know you're the international president, but tell us more about who is Aletta Rochat actually.
Well, that's always a difficult question to answer. I'm a South African living in Cape Town, South Africa. What brought me to Toastmasters was not needing or wanting to be a great public speaker. I'd always been relatively confident, but I joke that I was running away from my kids. So I wanted something that was just for me, that had nothing to do with being a wife or a mom. And somehow the name Toastmasters popped into my head. I'd never met a Toastmaster. I didn't have any real understanding of what the organization was about. And of course, that was the first meeting I attended. And that, in so many ways, has enriched my life. I think it's one of the most enriching decisions I've ever made. Outside of Toastmasters, I'm a mom to 3 wonderful adult children, all living in different parts of the world. I'm married to my husband, Rory. We met when we were 20 years old at university. And I run a business coaching, executive presence, which encompasses presentation skills, interview skills. I love walking and hiking. On a good day, you'll find me outside having a cup of tea in between working. And I love family and friends. So I hope that's given you a flavor of who I am.
Yep, and I like how you threw flavor in there. And I think you've actually inspired me because my personal development coach, Aletta, had, I won't say she twisted my arm, but she found out I was Toastmasters for 11 years.
Mhm.
And she said, you basically are paying for an education. She said, why don't you expound on it and start teaching people? So literally like 2 weeks ago, I just put the business together. I don't even have a website yet. I'm just using my LinkedIn page and my Gmail address until I put it together. And I went to a couple of networking events and people are like, I know people who could use your services. Or I go up there and I speak and they're like, oh, we can tell you're a public speaker. We know people that could use your help. So I just put it out there and I'm just waiting to see how it goes. Aletta, I do have a full-time job too, but I just kind of want to see where this goes because it just
Mhm.
took a little bit of arm twisting from my coach to really convince me that you need to do this.
Exactly. And so many people need what we have to offer. And I can tell you, I get many clients, and I always say to them, apart from what I can do for you when I'm coaching you, I recommend you join Toastmasters because that'll accelerate your learning. But some people want a fast track to it, and that's when they like employing coaches.
Oh yeah, and I've made the same suggestion to my friends of mine. I said I'm not gonna diss Toastmasters and tell you not to join because you can get a lot out of it. I said I can just add a little bit more to what you're already
Mhm.
learning. Like a friend of mine who went to one of our meetings, she got in an accident a long time ago, and it's kind of affected her brain and her thinking. She said, when I speak, I freeze, and I
Mhm.
need help with that. So I said, well, I can help you with that. I said, Toastmasters can give you the platform. I said, but I can help expound on that. So it goes back to what you said, Aletta. I mean, we can do so much as a coach, and Toastmasters can help expound on it,
I
and
agree.
vice versa.
Mm.
Yeah. And on that note, how long have you been in Toastmasters, Aletta?
17 years and still at the same club and still loving it.
And in that 17 years, has there been a break, or has that been 17 years straight?
No, I'm afraid I'm quite addicted, Fred, so it's been a continuous membership.
Okay. I think my only time off was like 6 weeks, and then I jumped right back in. So
Yeah, you
I
couldn't
kind of
do
know the
without
feeling.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of know the feeling. So in your interview with Greg Gazin, there was an interesting story you mentioned about you and your husband taking a hike and then kind of had an unexpected turn of events during that hike. For those who may not have heard that interview, Aletta, could you tell us a little bit about this experience you had with your husband on this hike?
Sure, I can. We were in a part of our country known as the Garden Route, which is just beautiful. You know, it's got mountains, it's got the sea, it's got forests, it's got beautiful hiking trails. So we set off on a multi-day hike and we booked our accommodation in these hiking lodges for every night. But these were the days long before GPS and sat nav and all those things. So we set off on the hike, and of course, you've got your map in front of you, and you're looking for a little arrow on the trail or trying to find it on the map. But you hope you get it right. And that day we didn't quite get it right, and somewhere we missed an arrow, we missed something on the map, and we ended up doing 2 days hike in one day. So it was with a full backpack with all our food and everything in it, and we must have hiked about 30 kilometers that day. And we got to the hiking lodge, which of course wasn't expecting us because we were coming the following night, and we had to do some very nice talking to get them to let us spend the night there because we couldn't walk one more step. We were finished after 30 kilometers of hiking. I don't know what that is in miles, but it's a long way.
Well, I tell you what, it doesn't matter to me what it is in miles because it hurts me just thinking about that, Aletta. And I have a
Yeah.
friend in Toastmasters in District 7 who he did that for almost a year. The Toastmasters takes a hike, and he was actually on the news about it. And he was going through the trail like the Oregon and California and Washington. I think it was called the Pacific Coast Trail. So
I've heard of it.
he was going through that as well. And he's a pretty good friend of mine.
Mhm.
So in your role as international president, for those of us who may not know, Aletta, please tell us the role of the international president and the road to get there.
Okay, well, the international president leads the board of directors, which is made up of 14 directors from all over the world. And then there are 5 executive committee members. And of course, our CEO is also part of the executive committee. And we set the strategy, we develop the policies. We are tasked with looking after Toastmasters from a financial perspective also to make sure that it's sustainable and can function optimally. So we are all passionate Toastmasters, all volunteers who, just like you, get $0 at the end of the month for all your Toastmasters work. But we love what we do and we believe we want to contribute to the future of the organization. When people say to me, how did you become international president? The best analogy I can use is I joke that I suffer from a syndrome, and it's called the helium hand syndrome. So when somebody asks for a volunteer, my hand magically goes up and I almost can't stop it going up. I've been like that since I was a child. And saying yes to every opportunity and keep on saying yes to the next step just kept me going. And it's not that I set out to be international president, it's that I was having so much fun every step of the way that I thought, well, why not try the next step, and raised my hand. And the beautiful thing, Fred, is that you can raise your hand without knowing everything. So there's always a learning curve attached to taking on any one of these roles. And I've learned over time to reach out for help. There's always someone who's been there before you, who's willing to mentor you and help you. You've just got to be teachable and willing to give of yourself for your club, your whatever team you're serving on, and hopefully just have a wonderful time doing it.
Oh, I agree with that. My mentor in District 7, Lori Anderson, I don't know if you've met her. She told us a story at a deck meeting one time that she remembered when she was asked to run for club growth director to be in the trio. And her first response was, I know nothing about being club growth director. And her mentor said, you don't have to. You'll learn along the way and we'll teach you. And she kind of she kind of took it upon herself to mentor me. She said, I
Mm.
want to be your personal mentor. And this accept. And we've been good friends ever since then. We used to speak a lot about once a week. And then our schedules changed and we kind of gotten away from that. But we used to speak every week just to kind of catch up with each
Yeah.
other. And
Yeah.
believe me, Aletta, I was constantly asking her questions, even in the lower tier of leadership, even as president of a new club, I was like, okay, what should I do, et cetera, et cetera. And then she'd give me some sound advice. So I think mentors are good all the way around, no matter what type of leadership role that you're
Mm.
in.
And it's so good because it just reminds you you're not in there alone. You don't have to figure it out all by yourself. Sure, there are things to learn and you could do that by yourself, but reaching out to others enriches your experience because they can see stuff you can't see. And they can see what you're good at, which often we hesitate to own, but they can also see where you got gaps and they can help you close those gaps. So we all help one another, and that's the most wonderful thing about this organization.
Yes, and I will agree with that because I'm a perfect example of that. Like when I joined Toastmasters, Aletta, I joined to be a homeless advocate because I was homeless for about a year, and I think I sent you my video on when I spoke about it.
I
So I
watched
came
those,
into
yeah.
Toastmasters with very low self-esteem.
Mm.
And the more I started going to events and meetings and networking events, people came up to me and they just saw my potential and they said, we see something in you that you may not see yourself. And I ran into uh, Mike and Julie McLean. I think I was in maybe a year, and she wanted me to be area director, but because of logistics, I turned it down. But that same year, I was area director for much closer area. And to my surprise, Aletta, I became area director of the year. And
Oh,
I thought someone
congratulations.
on my division team was going to get it because all her clubs were presidents distinguished. She had charted 3 clubs. I'm like, wow, I can't touch her. And then Julie gave me the little heart thing, and she actually told me later, she said, yeah, she said, statistics like that are good, but she said it's the cards you were dealt with and how you dealt with those cards. I'm like,
Mm.
oh, okay, well, that makes sense because when I came in as area director that year, I had replaced one who had resigned early. So I was just kind of
Mm.
thrown in there, and they weren't even a distinguished area yet. So I had a lot
Mm.
on my plate. But like you said, with all the help, people helping me either voluntarily or I'm asking, it I think that's what helped, and my area ended up becoming distinguished as well. So I
Wow.
got 2
Mm.
awards at that particular event. I got
Oh,
a
amazing.
distinguished area award and I got area director of the year. So that goes to show you, Aletta, that if you find the right people to help you or you're not afraid to ask, that,
Yes.
that you can get those positive results. And like you as international president, I wasn't going for area director of the year. I didn't even know it existed until a
Exactly.
couple of months before that. I was like, excuse me while I pick my jaw up off the floor and get some nice clothes to wear because I was wearing like jeans and a t-shirt, not expecting to get that award. Me being a photographer, I'm like, man, I should have dressed up. And then I'm thinking to myself, Aletta, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I may as well enjoy it. Take the pictures now
Exactly.
and just kind of know from there that maybe I need to step up my game a little bit, dressing up,
Yeah,
moving forward.
and once you've succeeded at one level, then look around and see what you would like to try and give it your all. It's just, we're never done. There's always something to learn.
Yeah, because the following year I was division director for a brand new division, and that division became President's Distinguished. We had one club
Oh, well
chartering, which would
done.
have made all my areas had chartered clubs, but all our other statistics were there. Brand new division, and we became a President's Distinguished division right out the gate. And
That's
again, I
that's
owe it a
something to be
lot to
proud
the
of.
people. Yeah, I owe it a lot to the people who mentored me, who helped
Yeah.
me, who saw things in me I didn't see. So I can't
Mm.
take all the credit, Aletta. I owe it to the
No,
people that took me under their wing, whether voluntarily or I asked them for help.
yeah.
So I cannot take a lot of the credit for that. I mean,
No,
I
we
just
do
had
it
the
as a
title.
team.
Exactly.
We do it as a team. I always say, Fred, we are the custodians of the badge. We are not the badge. So when you have that role, you look after that role, and there are people to help you, and you help them as well. And it's a wonderful team effort every step of the way.
Exactly. Because to me, everybody, I think, in my opinion, has the same goal in mind or has the same end result in mind. We want to be a president's distinguished division. So we
Yeah.
try to get everybody on board to do that. So yeah, I agree with you on that. Now, kind of on that note, in your interview with Greg, you had mentioned something about you've heard clubs say, or you visited clubs that when guests attend 3 times, that's when they're going to ask them to join. But I want to flip the script a little bit because I've run into this. How do you deal with guests or visitors who visit your club multiple times but don't join?
We had one of those in my club. Gosh, he must have come for over a year before he became a member. And I think the trick there is to understand there's a reason that's holding that person back. And you don't always know the reason, and they're not always going to tell you the reason. Sometimes it's finances, sometimes it's something else. But we just continued to welcome him and acknowledge him. We called him the serial repeat guest and always made a fuss of him at every meeting. And eventually he did join. So I don't believe in forcing people to join, but I do believe in offering them the opportunity to join. If they've come to your meeting, they're already interested. And as I say, this concept of saying, well, you can't join this meeting, you better come next time, and then tell them again a third time. It's the equivalent of me going to a store wanting to buy a microwave and the salesperson saying to me, no, 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 you can't buy it this week. Not next week either, but the third week, if you come back,
Yeah.
then you can buy the microwave. And people want to join. Some people want to join straight away. Other people want to have a bit more time to think about it, and that's okay. But as a club, we need to offer them, we need to let them know that we want them to join. And some people are waiting for the question, would you like to join? It's almost like they need an invitation to join, a verbal invitation, preferable to a written invitation. So I just believe in always saying, what did you like about the meeting? Can you see how that can help you in real life outside of Toastmasters? Would you like to join our club? And one way I've heard it described, which really made sense to me, it's don't think of it as selling, because many people are very uncomfortable with the concept of selling. Think of it as sharing and serving. Sharing the opportunity, and then when they join, you serve them, you take really good care of them and help them achieve their goals. And that makes it more doable for most people.
Yes, and something I remember a past trio member, District 7, telling me is follow up doesn't just happen at the beginning to try to get the member in, it also happens once they join.
Yes,
You want to
very
follow
good
up, but kind of
advice.
like what you said, making them feel special and that, hey, we're here for
Mhm.
you. How can we help you? So follow up works more than one. It works on both ends of the scale. It works on the
Yeah.
nurturing end and it works once they're in.
And that's a part of member retention that I think often we don't pay enough attention to. We expect people to stay, but if we have them in our club and we pay no attention to them or don't follow up with them, to your words, or say to them, gosh, I missed you last meeting, so glad to see you this meeting, or when are you doing your next presentation? That's part of the follow up, the nurturing, to make them realize that they are valued and seen and appreciated. But if we just, take them for granted and don't notice when they don't come to meetings or don't notice when they don't participate, that's where we let ourselves down, I think, as a club. So we need to really take good care of them all the way through.
Yes, and on that note, one of our club members would like to know, it's related to what you just said, is how do you keep people engaged and coming back if you want to maybe elaborate on that a little bit more?
Sure. One of the best ways I've seen it done was one of the clubs in my district who at every meeting has a member moment. And I've heard it called different things in different parts of the world, but it's a regular spot on the agenda, 2 to 3 minutes. One of your members is given the opportunity to say what they've gained from being a Toastmaster. And what I like about it is, if you've been a Toastmaster for a while, you kind of take for granted that you're more confident. But when you have to tell people about how you've changed since you've been a member, it helps you appreciate how much progress you've made. And when that person stands up and gives that testimonial or member moment, the guests get to hear it. And what people are signing up for, in my opinion, Fred, is transformation.
Mhm.
They want to be as confident as you, as articulate as you. And you sharing your story is what they can relate to. So another way of repurposing that is, with their permission, get your VPPR to record those member moments and put that on your social media and on your club website. So I really believe our success stories are very powerful marketing tools. And the more we tell them, the more people appreciate what they're getting in Toastmasters and hopefully stay longer. And it gives them a reason to just share how much they've gained. And then the next step is saying to them, well, you've gained so much, wouldn't you like to be a mentor for a new member? So keeping everybody engaged in the ecosystem, I think, is very important.
Yes, and you mentioned mentoring again. I have several mentees below me, but I also have mentors as well, so I'm kind of right in the
Mm.
middle. And my mentees have gotten to the point, Aletta, where I've told them, I said, you are now ready to be a mentor. Now,
Mm.
granted, they
Mm.
still reach out to me because they still call me their mentor regardless. But
Yes.
it makes me feel good that I've gotten them to the point to where now they can mentor people. And that was never my intention. It's just that I think they relied on me so much and absorbed so much of what I taught them that it stuck. So now I'm saying,
Yeah,
now I want you to take it to the next level and I want you to start mentoring people.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
they haven't really done it. I think they somewhat hesitant because they still rely on me a little bit, but I still give them that push. I'm like, you can
Mm.
do this. I'm like, I'm still going to be your mentor and your go-to person, but let's do all
Yes,
that behind the scenes. I said, let other
exactly.
people know that you are now ready to be a mentor.
I've got a lovely story on that, Fred, if you've got time for it.
I have plenty of time.
Um,
Go ahead.
Okay, I was asked to mentor a new member. His name was Tom, and he had this phobia about public speaking to the extent that he had turned down two or three promotions at work because the promotions would have involved public speaking. So he came in firmly believing that he couldn't speak. So I was lucky enough to be his mentor, and we started working on his speeches. And almost immediately, every time he did a speech, he got Best Speaker of the Evening. Not once, just about every single time. And nobody was more surprised than Tom. And we were surprised that he couldn't see how good he was. And then a new person joined our club, and often we say to the new members, is there anybody here that you would like to be mentored by? Somebody that resonates with you. And she said, I want to be mentored by Tom. So I had the pleasure of phoning him and saying, Tom, guess what? So and so, our brand new members asked you to mentor her. And he was absolutely blown away. But it was the validation he needed just to see that other people saw him as a really good speaker that they could learn from. So, yes, I agree with you. Encourage your mentees to become mentors. It's a wonderful growth experience for all of us.
Yes, and a couple of true stories too. When we're talking about membership, there's a member in District 84, been in for a while. Her husband was attending meetings for years, from my understanding, before he actually joined. And someone asked him, I think in a tabletop question, why haven't you joined our club? You keep coming and supporting your wife. You know what his answer was? No one asked me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
He said,
And we had one member who came with her husband. I kid you not, she came for 16 years. And eventually she knew everybody in the club. They were socializing with the Toastmasters, but she'd never become a member. And then one day she arrived and somebody asked her to do a table topics and then said to her, really, it's time. And she did become a member and she went on to get her distinguished Toastmaster qualification. But some people just take longer than others.
yeah, or they're just, it's the way I look at it, Aletta, is I'm single. It's like a girl waiting for me to ask her out. If I don't ask her
Exactly.
out, the next guy's going to come ask her out. And snatcher, so to speak, because I didn't
Yeah.
ask. So I kind of think of it
Yeah.
as the same concept. And then you were talking earlier about the encouragement and people speaking. Like when I speak at my home club in Florida, a lot of the new members come up to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you speak so eloquently. What did you do to do?" And I'll tell them, I say, "You got to keep in mind," I said, "I've been in Toastmasters just over 11 years." I said, "This
Mm.
did not happen overnight." I said, it took several evaluations, so hearing a lot of things the same time over and over, think, "Oh, I've got to work on this." So I said, "I'm flattered." And I said, "But I just don't want you getting unrealistic expectations that you're going to come right up here and you're going to nail
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
speech." I said, "It takes time," and they get it when I say that, but I just figured I have to be transparent, that I don't want them to think they're going to be a superhero as soon as they come up there and speak, and they're going to like, wow. I mean, some people might have let it. Some people just have that
Yeah.
gift, but I believe in being transparent and telling people, don't expect to be at my level in like one or two meetings.
Yeah. And the opposite is also true. I was at a club meeting the other day and sitting next to a guest, and the guest said, "These speakers are really good. You don't seem to have any beginner speakers." And that person was hesitant to join because they didn't think they were good enough. So, then again, you have to explain they didn't get this way overnight. They didn't start off like this, but that is where you can aspire to go to. And the other thing you touched on, Fred, which I think is important, is the encouragement. I remember joining, knowing immediately I was going to join, but then being very hesitant to put my name down for my icebreaker. And it was only when someone sitting in front of me turned around and said, "Come on, Letta, when are you going to do your icebreaker?" and encouraged me to put my name down, that I did so. So we all need encouragement every step of the way.
Yeah, and I remember one of my area directors when I was a division director, she said when she first joined, she was kind of in that intimidation factor where she didn't even want to participate in table topics. She said every time they'd call it, she'd make an excuse like, "Oh, I got to go to the bathroom," or hold on, my child's calling me," or she'd make some type of excuse. And then she said it got to the point where she would purposely bring her kids to the meeting, so if they called on her, she'd say, "Oh, hold on, my kids are misbehaving." So, but then she said eventually she got over that. But she
Mm.
said she was so intimidated she didn't even want to speak on table topics. So it got to that point, but she finally got over that. So I can
Yeah.
I can see where the encouragement comes in. But let me see if I can
Mm.
share my screen here for just a second, Aletta. I want to show something here. Can you see that?
Oh, I can. I can.
Do you remember? Do you
I
remember that
do.
moment if you want to talk about that?
Well, that was in Anaheim, wasn't it? That was
Yes, that
our
was in Anaheim.
100-year
Yes,
anniversary.
correct. Yes, for the
Yeah,
100.
and we were exactly, and we were all dressed in our finery. And I think, if I remember correctly, you and I were neighbors in the hotel, weren't we?
Yeah, because we just kept passing each other, like either in the hallway or in the convention, say, "Hi, Aletta, hi, Fred," and that was about it. And then we were both
Yeah.
getting ready for the presidential ball. You were at your room and I was at mine. We were like, "Oh my gosh, we're neighbors."
Exactly. Isn't that amazing? And that's what I love about going to convention. I feel like every time I go, it's like going to the most amazing family reunion. And every time you go, you meet more people, so that family keeps on growing. But it's an extraordinary experience being with people from all over the world who all love Toastmasters.
Oh yeah, and now we know each other on a personal level. Where now you've let me interview you, so I think we kind of gotten to that comfort level and kind of developed a little bit of a friendship there. And what I want to do now, Aletta, is I want you to take us home. Give us some words of wisdom on why people should join Toastmasters.
Mhm. I'm a great believer, Fred, in possibility. My favorite book is The Art of Possibility. And what I've learned in my Toastmasters journey, you come in at whatever level, confident, shy, doesn't matter. But after 3 or 6 months in the program, your confidence inevitably grows. And as it grows, you take that confidence that you develop in your meeting and you take it home to your family, to your career, to your community. And every step of confidence, as you take that step up, you can see possibilities for yourself that you couldn't see before. And it just continues growing. So if you want to step into the possibility of who you could become and what you could achieve, Toastmasters is the catalyst for that opportunity. And I've never grown tired of seeing people transform in front of my eyes. And I know how I have changed. And I absolutely delight in seeing other people have that same experience. And to me, why would we keep that a secret? Why would we not invite more people to have that transformative opportunity? I think it's a gift you give one another, and it's a gift we give ourselves. So that's why people should join, should engage and stay and keep coming back and keep inviting others to do the same.
Yes, and on that note, when I was telling you about my mentees earlier, two of them got their DTMs at the same time. What I mean by that is they were celebrated at the same event at our conference. Unfortunately, neither one of them could there, but even if they weren't there, I was crying, and it was tears of joy because it goes back to what you just said. I was able to transform these people who looked up to me, who didn't think they had what it took to get their DTM or become a good mentor or even a good speaker. And that really weighed on me in a good way. Like I said, it actually brought tears to my eyes because I was so proud of them, but also bringing me back to my beginnings of Toastmasters when I had low self-esteem. I'm like, hey, look where I've come. I was like, I had low self-esteem. I've got mentees who now got their DTMs and are ready to mentor other people.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, I think that's why they should join too. There's so many opportunities out there, Aletta. It's not even funny because I remember when I first joined Toastmasters, I thought it was just public speaking, and I remember the area director came out. I'm like, oh, there's leadership roles outside of our club. And then I found out about the trio, and then I found out about regional
Mm,
advisors. I'm like, oh, and I did more than sign on the dotted line. I just kept renewing, just because I'm like,
exactly.
I'm liking all these different opportunities that I was never privy to or didn't know. I'd
Yeah, and
like to
look
try
at you
more
now
things.
hosting podcasts. I mean,
Yes,
who would have thought that? I mean, that's brilliant. It's just testimony to the transformative power of being a Toastmaster.
yes. So, Aletta, any final words before we wrap up? It's been a pleasure, but maybe one or two final words as we close out to our viewing audience.
Well, I just say thank you to everybody who is a Toastmaster for everything you've done and continue to do. And you can't be in this organization without lifting someone else up. So just keep reaching out, keep supporting, keep celebrating, and keep taking the next step for yourself. Remember those helium hands, just keep them rising, and then all sorts of opportunities going to go your way. So thank you for the opportunity, Fred. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Aletta, and it's been a pleasure.